On Central News tonight, the young boy fighting to grow, tourists stepping backwards and the causing chaos, and river plans and pensioner housing for Hamilton. Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Monday the 8th of December. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Earlier this year we met 3-year-old Toby Dale from Hamilton, whose parents were fundraising to take him to a specialised conference in Chicago, where they could learn more about Russell Silver syndrome, from which Toby suffers, and of course how to treat it. Anne-Marie spoke with Toby's mum Jackie to find out how the conference went.
It was incredible. It was really mind-blowing. It was fantastic just to go over there and, for one, see a whole lot of kids just like Toby, at all ages, younger than him, older than him, hundreds of them all together. The best part was being able to meet with the doctors who all met in Chicago. So we saw Dr. Madeline Harbison from New York, and that was the most incredible thing.
What did the specialists recommend was the best treatment for Toby moving forward?
Well, straight away she changed the way we were feeding Toby. So I know that if we hadn't have gone over there, I would still have this child that was 24 hours on a feeding tube and vomiting 3 or 4 times a day. So straight away that advice just changed. She got me to change feeding him while we were over there, take him off some medication and put him on some different medication. She was just so experienced and she spent so much time with him and gave us a clear path of what we needed to do.
What other medications did she recommend?
We've got him on another medication called Periactin, which helps with his appetite. So one thing with Russell Silver syndrome, or small for gestational age children, is that they have no appetite whatsoever. So as well as they're not being able to grow, they never want to eat. And we managed to, when I came back to New Zealand to get the medication, we found that it wasn't available in New Zealand. It had been taken off the drug list. We managed to get hold of it. We still have to pay for it, but it's not as expensive as growth hormone. So he's been on Periactin now for 2 months, and 3 days after he started on it, he's oral eating, which Toby never used to eat during the day at all. So he's now eating. We're able to get him off the tube during the day, which helps with things like starting kindy and not having to carry around his pump all day. We still have to feed him overnight with the feed, but because of what she's also helped us with his delayed gastric emptying. So now he's not vomiting, so he's a lot happier.
She also recommended growth hormone?
Well, over in America, it's standard that small for gestational age children that haven't caught up by age 2, standard are prescribed growth hormone. So it helps them grow to their genetic potential, and that's their target height based on what their parents are. So she was quite adamant that Toby should be on growth hormone, and why wasn't he on it? She also understands that New Zealand's a little bit different, so there's no category for small for gestational age children in New Zealand.
Is growth hormone funded for Toby in New Zealand?
No.
Why doesn't he meet the criteria?
Because the criteria is based only on height, and he's about 1 to 2 centimetres too tall.
How much per year does it cost for Toby to be on growth hormone?
Between $10,000 and $15,000 a year.
And how many years does he need to be on it?
Around about 10 years, so through to puberty.
So you're looking at quite a cost?
Yeah.
It's not just about height, is it?
Well, it's not just about height. It's all linked in to do with his appetite, his lack of eating, his slow growth, his muscle mass and his bone mass. So he only weighs 11 kilos. And now his identical twin brother weighs almost 18 kilos now. So Toby's a lot smaller. In fact, he's only sort of at a 1-year-old weight for where he should really be. And keeping his weight up's just a 24/7 issue with his medication and his tube feeding. So he's on the tube feed for 10 hours every night, and he's really slow to gain weight.
What difference will the growth hormone make to Toby's life and those health issues?
I think it'll be huge. He's going to start eating more. It's going to help him with his appetite, with his bone density. His bone age is only of a 2.5-year-old and he turns 4 in December. So it's going to help him with his bones and his muscle, his immunity, cognitive, so it helps him with their cognitive intelligence and behaviour. I think lots of things. And also, Dr. Harbison was adamant that Toby should be looking at where Finn is for where he needs to be, and that's how far short he is, and that with growth hormone he's got a chance to be, as healthy as Finn.
What are you seeing in Toby now? Is he staying the same? Is he getting better? Or in some aspects, is he deteriorating?
Well, in some aspects, I think he's deteriorating because I can see all of his peers are, having massive growth spurts and Toby's not. So I can see how he looks so much younger than his peers at kindy. He's sick a lot. He runs out of energy. His blood sugars get low. We focus too much on trying to feed him and get calories into him, and I think he's really active. He's burning the calories too fast, so weight gain is really slow. So even though we're jumping ahead with how we feed him and stopping him from vomiting, he's not gaining the weight, and that's not going to start happening for us until he's on growth hormone.
How are you going to raise the money for growth hormone?
We're hopefully with our Give a Little site. The fundraiser that we're having at the Classics Car Museum in February, which will be fantastic. We're just doing what we can.
What's your hope for Toby?
That he's happy and healthy, and that he's not living life on the fringes socially, and he's spending more time out of hospital and being well, and that he can reach his potential.
At the moment, when you look at Toby and he's running around, because of the decreased muscle mass, does that have impact on his daily life?
Yeah, he's falling a lot and he's stumbling a lot, and he doesn't seem to have very good strength in his legs. And that seems to be getting worse. So at the moment, we're unsure what's going on there. I suspect it's because his muscle mass is so small and he's so skinny.
Have you contacted Pharmac to see if they would fund, can you appeal that decision?
We're hoping to, but that's going to be a big effort, I think, yeah.
So when, ideally, would you like Toby to start on the growth hormone?
By 4 years, he should ideally start, so, he should be starting next month.
What will be the consequences for the delayed starting on growth hormone for Toby?
That it might not be as effective. So all the studies are showing, we met with one doctor who's the most published researcher on small for gestational age babies and growth hormone therapy, and she's even said that starting earlier for Toby would have been better, but they all agree that by 4 they should be starting the therapy, otherwise you sort of run out of time.
To donate, go to givealittle.co.nz/cause/fund Toby. Coming up next, the road trial in Matamata. It's causing chaos. Welcome back to Central News on TV Central. Currently, a road trial is going ahead in Matamata. The new Hobbiton Eye site has benefited the community, but has caused a few problems with tourists stepping backwards onto the road to take photos. I caught up with Mayor Jan Barnes to see what the options are. Now, the medium strip trial in Matamata. Tell me, what's this all about?
Right. Well, Council has had some issues with traffic and with safety. So the Hatana Street, as we know, has, with the tourism that has come to town and the eyesight building, we had to address that. We couldn't leave it. We knew there was a health and safety issue there. And of course, congestion in our Broadway, with side roads coming on there from particularly Waharo Road East, and people wanting to move to the median strip. We needed to keep traffic flowing, and it is a bottleneck. So we've been big and bold, and we've decided that at this time of the year, probably the busiest, we needed to do a trial, and I emphasise that word trial.
So what's the feedback been so far then?
I think people aren't liking change, but I really implore them that if they could just give it some time to think a little bit about the way they do move around the CBD. Think about Rawiti Avenue. Think about coming down Arara Street extension down to the clock. I know the people of Peria Road, Manuka Street are finding, they've got to go round. Maybe as they come from New World, they could go down Rawiti and then head on down to the clock that way. So it's keeping an open mind, please, because what will happen in the future? We know that congestion will get worse. We have at least 4 years until the Waikato Expressway is all connected up, and that will then show us just what volume of traffic, and particularly trucks, will choose that highway.
What's the feedback from the trucking community? Are they finding it easier? Because a majority of the kind of dangerous traffic around there is those big trucks, isn't it?
Yes, it must be very hard for them when they come into town from the roundabout and to inch along. I think a lot of them are choosing Mowbray Road from Waharoa and coming along Tower Road and exiting out the top to the Tauranga area. But yes, I think half the community do survive off our trucks, and the other half of our community find them an issue. So we are a community, we've all got to work together. I think the traffic slows in the CBD, but we do want to keep people moving, and that is why the left-hand turn, hopefully, merge like a zip. But we are trialling, and probably there will need to be a good discussion as to where we go after the trial. Should one be closed? Should the other be opened again? Should we have perhaps some other measures taken?
So you are keeping quite an open mind as
Definitely.
to, you could do one or other or both or neither.
Yes, definitely, Hilary. You never know till you give it a trial. And it was highlighted in July that we were looking at this. I have had several conversations with New World, with Matt, before the trial went ahead. But we don't like change as a community. So I'm just asking people to give it a go and let's see, because we can go back to the way we were, but I don't think it's going to solve our problems.
That eyesight has been, don't get me wrong, absolutely fantastic for Matamata and the wider region. Brings in so much money and it looks awesome too.
It's just on the map.
Yeah, exactly. But it does cause problems. And do you really think that this just blocking out those median strips is really going to help?
Yes, I think that we need, as I say, an open mind. When you have got tourists backing out onto the road and you're trying to look right, you're trying to look to the middle and you're looking left, and then you've got tourists factored into that as well, I think we've got too much going on. We don't want to stop our tourists coming to the region. I think the Business Association or the eyesight, their motto was to stop traffic, and I think they are doing that. They're encouraging people to come, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. We've just got to manage it. We've just got to manage the issues.
Yes, I suppose it's quite funny, isn't it? They wanted to stop traffic and they've actually stopped
They've
traffic,
stopped traffic.
but sometimes in a bad way. What about, have there been other possibilities like extending the footpath? There's parking outside the eyesight on the Broadway there. Could we extend the footpath out there instead so people can step back and take photos? Because quite often you drive down there and there's somebody stepping backwards onto the road and you've got these massive lorries coming through. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
I think there has been some footpath work done, and if you'll notice that the Information Centre have reconstructed their building and have got a great photography area around the side on Hatana Street. And of course there is a chance to go across to the Robert Harris corner and take your photo from there. I think no matter what we will do, it's called managing people. I think we do need to keep everybody moving, but slowly, and that's the thought process at the moment.
So you got this trial, and if you walk around Matamata, quite often you'll see these little questionnaires and comments and things like that on the shop counters. So you're going to trial it, people are commenting and whatnot. When's the end date of the trial?
We said for 3 months, so it's been going about 3 weeks now. We have those survey forms in New World and quite a few of the other shops around. And of course, a lot more are talking to us on Facebook, and we appreciate that. So, but we're 3 weeks in. We've said 3 months. We may change the layout. We may open one and keep the other one closed. So please continue with your feedback. And if you are pleased with the way you think the traffic is moving, that you're not getting jammed, waiting for the car to move to the centre medium, if you feel like you are moving, bearing in mind midday, 3 o'clock, they will always be pressure points, Hilary. And Firth Street has been building for some time. But roundabouts, that's why so many of the roundabouts in New Zealand, people flow. Might be slowly, but they do flow. So we are keeping a very open mind.
What will you put there? Will you put some more pedestrian crossings, or are you just going to keep it as a medium strip?
We haven't got to that discussion because we don't want to preempt what we may do. But when I was a young child growing up in Matamata, we used to have another median entry point down nearly opposite Paper Plus, and that was removed, and it was grassed and linked, and it's really rather beautiful when you come to town. We also, I believe the council previously had narrowed up the plots, and there was a real hue and a cry, but now it gives you that white line that you can back out and be waiting to join the merging traffic. So sometimes we don't like change, but if we can just keep an open mind and know that pressures are bearing on us, and they're good pressures. I mean, growth or, numbers rising are a good thing. They're not necessarily, we've got to look at the half full.
To find out more about the trial, visit mpdc.gov.nz. After the break, we look at the decisions around pensioner housing and the river plan for Hamilton. Welcome back to Central News. 2014 might be coming to a close, but there are still some big decisions to be made before Christmas for Hamilton City Council, including the proposed sale of the pensioner flats and the proposed change to ratings values. Anne-Marie spoke with Mayor Julie Hardacre about these big decisions.
So before Christmas we've got a couple of really big decisions that the council's going to make, and that's on the rating, whether we're going to change from land value to capital value. And we've also got a decision to make about our pensioner housing, whether we're going to retain our pensioner housing or we're going to sell it. So those are enormous decisions for the council. So we've been working on those all year. And of course, lots of public consultation has been going on, and we've had hearings on those. So now, time to make a decision. So we've got those. We've also got a lot of decisions to make about the arts sector. We're looking for a decision prior to Christmas about our Clarence Street Theatre and what we're going to do about that. We had a theatres review done about 18 months ago, looking at our theatres in the city and how we might deliver better. So we've been working through each of the recommendations in that report, and now we're up to Clarence Street Theatre, so lots of talk going on about that. So there's some big ones as we sort of head into the new year. The other thing we're doing is we're going to have the first cut of our draft budget for the next 10 years, so that will come before the council in December, early December. So lots of work's been going on about that because we're growing fast, and we've got to look at how much all the infrastructure costs and how we service all that growth. So some big stuff before we even get to Christmas.
What development can we expect to see with Hamilton Gardens in 2015?
Yeah, so we've been working this year on the Hamilton Gardens proposal, and we're going to be putting an application into the Lotteries Commission for a significant amount of funding for that project. So I think next year will be a lot of work at the Hamilton Gardens. We do the gardens in stages. Each garden we sort of start. Generally the gardens have a couple of stages in them, and we try to keep them rotating. So there'll be a lot of work I think going on in the gardens next year. The Surreal Garden, which is the robotics plants, that one I think is underway now, because a lot of these, the lead-in time is often a couple of years for these things. So that'll be happening, and of course our river plan will be really starting to look very closely at how we start a rollout of that. That's a 30-year vision. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's quite a few projects that we want to get going early on, and I think people will start seeing some of that start next year. So, I think next year's going to be a big year for things happening. We spent all of this year doing making big decisions and doing lots of plans. Next year I think will be about how we start implementing those.
You recently held a consultation afternoon on Victoria Bridge about the river plan. How did that go?
Look, it was great because we've had our river plan out for the last month just to get feedback, to see if the public are happy with where we've gone with it. It's been a huge amount of work, and it looks fantastic, and we've had some fantastic feedback. People are very excited about, for the first time for decades, we've actually got this plan finished now, and there's a real, it's actually going to happen. And I think this is what the public are so excited about. It's actually going to happen, because there's been a lot of attempts in the past but not quite got there. So we had a bit of a day on the bridge. We thought, well, we'll shut down the bridge and people can come and look at the plan and look at the river, and that was great actually. And I think people really appreciated walking on the bridge and the connection with the river. So the idea, of course, in the river plan is that we'll all be getting up close with that river a lot more than we have in the past.
This is our last catch-up for 2014. What's your Christmas message to the people of Hamilton?
Relax with your family. When I talk to lots of people, and even on Saturday for our birthday party, when I was talking to people, a lot of people have had a really big year. Lots of things have been going on, and I think people are looking forward to a rest. Actually taking time with their family and just, doing what Kiwis do best, chilling out at the beach and shutting off all those things that, occupy us during the year. I was saying to someone this morning, what's so great about our country is that everything does shut down at Christmas time. It's our summer holidays. You don't have to worry about looking at your mobile devices and wondering about communicating, because no one's doing that. We've all shut down. So, have a great time with your family.
For more details on any of these issues, go to hamilton.gov.nz. Now for our weather for the regions, and it looks like we might be in for a bit of drizzle. Looking at the seas now for our marine forecast. That is Central News for tonight. Like us on Facebook, centralnews.tv, or email us at news@tvcentral.co.nz. On tomorrow night's show, the science lady from Tauranga driving a new initiative to see science in primary schools nationwide. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.